Thank you, Tahira. And thank you to Joanna Severino for introducing me to these HIT talks. I'm very excited to join this global community. And I'm going to do the classic COVID introduction, which is Can you hear me now? So just going to see if there's a message that pings up, and I'm going to hope that I'm live. Fabulous. Well, today I'm going to talk to you guys about space. I was a little girl the very first time I got fascinated with space. I remember it clearly. My father stopped us all in the middle of our games and he gathered us. He says, "You've got to see this. It's a historic moment." And with that, he brought us all into the one room in front of our little TV set. I remember sitting cross legged on this gray carpet in a room with avocado green upholstery, and he turned the knob. And there, in the middle of Africa, a black and white signal sputtered. And I watched a grainy transmission of Neil Armstrong, clad in this huge plastic suit with a giant fishbowl for a helmet, and he stepped onto the surface of the moon. "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," he said. And that was it. Like millions of other little kids my age scattered across the globe, my love affair with the heavens started. The next time was just over a decade later, and this time we were in our family home in the UK. We just moved in, and half of us were painting walls, the other half were weeding gardens. And once again, my father stopped all of us and gathered us around this colored TV with its three channels. "This is an important moment," he said. And so we all sat and watched as the first space shuttle Columbia took off. And so I felt like I was channeling my dad this past week. And when I gathered my still sleepy kids here in Canada, and we all watched as Virgin Galactica went suborbital. Once again, we were marking a significant moment in our relationship with the cosmos. So ever since I've been old enough, I've grown up on this steady diet of space and science fiction. Star Trek, Star Wars, Jetsons, and my very favorite Doctor Who. When we embrace science fiction, we dance between the limits of our intelligence, the boundaries of physics, and the elasticity of time. We play. We play with possibility. So, my father had this wonderful enthusiasm about him when he encouraged us to share in these major feats of human accomplishment. And I often wonder if it was in part his passion that inspired me to become a futurist who focuses on the future of work. As parents, we walk a slim tightrope for our children between protecting them and propelling them. Now, my father may have given me a love for space, but what he actually did was so much more. He created space. He created the space for me to believe that anything is possible. And for a parent, that is very, very powerful. Today, as adults, we look into the world and we wonder, what will my children do? How will they live? But to do that, we come boxed in with our own experiences, our own stories, and our own failures. So the bigger gift we should be offering this next generation is space. The space to dream, the space to imagine, and the space to believe. The deeper I think about it, the more I'm convinced that this thrum that I felt inside my soul when I was first introduced to these concepts of strategy and futurism were in part because of my father's faith in our human ability to make major change. I mean, it was 50 years later when, as an adult, I focused and I realized that it was this collection of brilliant minds working alongside each other with only the most basic technology that got those first rockets into space and those men onto the moon. And as I do my work and I discover more tools in futurism, I live more and more in a world of maybes and what ifs. And it's the possibility of the things that could be and that they could be different that drives me. So it's often said, and I kind of want to channel a little bit of Praveen here, which I focus in. It's often said that the difference between the word impossible and I'm possible is minuscule. All it is, and I'm hoping you can see that, an apostrophe and space to breathe between those words. And that is what we offer our children, because it's in that space that lies hope. And we're going to need a serious dose of that, a serious dose of hope and enthusiasm. So I'm very committed to empowering our next generation. They're very clued into what's going on around them. Almost from the time they're in kindergarten, if you've heard Demetrios talk about this, they're very engaged with climate change. They kind of have a gut sense of what's going on. And they know that they are on the brink of a huge global issue, one that's going to need all of us to rally around and solve. So they have to know that we know they are up to the task. They have to know that we have full faith in that is supported by like-minded souls from right across the globe of all age groups, that we can embrace this challenge. So now, going back to Branson, I'm not going to lie. As passionate as I am about space, I was very conflicted watching Richard Branson take off. I question whether we should embrace space tourism when we're facing so many other issues here on Earth. But there are also elements in what happened last week that motivate me. First, I see a normal member of society, a person 70 years old, excited and physically able to go into space. Second, Richard Branson was a dyslexic child, and yet he was able to create this organization from nothing because his parents believed in him. That has to be a message of hope and possibility that will inspire so many families out there. And the third is that this project took 10 years more to get off the ground than they'd originally forecast. Now, in a world that is loaded with instant gratification, I think it's important for the rest of us to see that and hear that. So as Branson said, to the next generation of dreamers, if we can do this, imagine what you can do. So I see what happened as very positive, as very empowering. What I also see right now is that we've got a world under threat. I focus very strongly on climate change. We're all going to have to pull ourselves together. We're going to have to gather our forces together. But this is within our capabilities. As JFK said in 1962, when he announced man's mission to land on the moon, we do this not because it's easy, but because it's hard. And that's an important message to pass along. As Demetrios and Tahiri also noted, the children of today are the leaders of tomorrow. The time has come once again for us to embrace all these different kinds of possible, to live with possibility and imagination. And I believe we can do this together. So I'm Karina D'Souza, and I thank you very much for having me on this talk.